What's up, guys? It's your boy Tyler, and thank you for watching the most trash show on YouTube, Garage Guns, baby. And I've been writing, scripting, brainstorming more kind of think piece, monologue, rant types, not rants, but I guess more just my thoughts, my inner thoughts, and I think this generation, Gen Z specifically, if you're born, let's say, after 95, okay, I don't know when Gen Z is officially considered Gen Z. It might be the millennium cutoff. I'm not too sure, but I work with teenagers and kids a lot, coaching at my Muay Thai, coaching Muay Thai at my MMA gym, and there's a distinct difference between the kids I see in day to day versus kids that are in fight gyms. And I work for a really big school district, and I see kids. I don't work directly with the kids. I'm an electrician, so I fix electrical problems for the school district I work for. But I see kids all the time interacting with teachers, interacting with staff, interacting with other kids, and I see them all the time. And I think that there's a lot of confusion and problems in society today. And I'm going to speak to specifically young men or boys in this. And I got to be careful how I say this. Well, fuck it. It's my channel. I'm going to say it how I want to say it. But kids today, like every generation, will say the kids that come after them are soft. And I'm 35 years old. I'm considered a millennial, but I think a lot of millennials would say I'm old as fuck and considered more of an old millennial. And I identify a lot more with Gen Xers than I do millennials, quote unquote. But these Gen Z kids are different, man. And I think it's because our society for the longest time, especially with little boys, have preached things like violence is never the answer. If you ever run into a problem, if some kid's bullying you, go tell somebody, go tell a teacher, go, find an adult, and then conversely at home, the discipline isn't like when I was a kid, which was getting spanked, bare ass spanking, okay, really hard for my dad, like to the point to where sometimes I'd have welts on my ass and stuff like that. And then his generation straight up got whooped. Like, whooping was not child abuse, that was child discipline. And I don't think that whooping is the answer. And I don't know how I feel. I think spanking is needed for some children. I don't think all children need spanking. Discipline can be used in different ways, right? And be effective in different ways. But what I do know is that there are a lot of kids out here that have zero fear of consequences because their world is comprised of everything has been made so safe for me. I can do bad things and I don't have real repercussions at home. Okay, I lose my PlayStation for a week. Oh, okay. They're like, in my school district, they're not even suspending kids anymore. Like, no matter what the kids do, they're not suspending kids. They don't get sent home for being bad anymore. And there's zero fear of like, okay, we're going to call your parents. They don't care. The parents a lot of times are siding with their kids and believing whatever their kids are saying over adults, which is wild to me. There's a lot of studies that show that young men, okay, are more dangerous today than they have ever been, with crazy things like mass shootings and all of these new movements online, like the blue and the red pill stuff and whatever. All these new movements where it's comprised of primarily kids who are unsatisfied with their life, who lack direction, who lack purpose, who lack discipline. And I think it all comes full circle to if you just look back in the annals of history at any given period of time, if you were a young man, your life was fighting. Okay, unless you were royalty, right? And you could live in some castle somewhere, right? Or some, the biggest hut in the village, or some high society place to wherever your geographical location and society was. You were de facto warrior. You had to know how to fight. You had to defend your land, because if you didn't, someone would take it from you. And if you messed up, if you stole something, they would chop your hand off. If you messed up enough times, they would stone you in public or hang you or, put you up on a cross. Jail wasn't a thing. You know what I mean? They just got rid of you. And I think there's a lost generation today because, especially for young men, and I'm specifically, again, talking to young men because I can't speak to the female perspective. I've never been a female. I don't identify with females. I can't give advice to how to become a good woman. I could tell you how to be a good person, based off opinion, but I guess the point I'm trying to get to is young men, because they are so stifled, I think, in not showing aggression, not showing violence, it becomes a point to a detriment. It's to the point to where it is such a foreign idea that the only time we see it is in the most extreme cases, because it's just such a crazy buildup. And these kids don't have an outlet. These kids don't have discipline. These kids don't have a sense of reality. They go online and they talk wild shit, and nobody ever fucking puts them in their place, and they go home and they get in trouble, and their parents don't really discipline them. And the schools and society and the laws, depending on where you live, can even punish the parents just for spanking your kids if there's, God forbid, there's a mark on their butt, I think young men need to get into combat sports. I think it shouldn't even be a choice, to be honest with you. I think at the very bare minimum, you should, as a young man, at some point, get into wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, Sanda, Sambo, like whatever is available, Taekwondo, karate, whatever is available to you, you should know. You should be proficient in fight sports, in knowing how to fight and taking part. And not just training it, you should know how to spar. You should be sparring and fighting each other. And the reason I say this is, there's so many reasons, but the first reason is you're dealing with consequences of poor actions, maybe not even morally poor, but like poor fundamentals right away. If you're sparring and your hands are low and you get 3-pieced in the face, it's going to be an immediate lesson for you, and your body is going to tell you to cover up, to protect yourself. Now, some of that is like shelling up and freezing, and you don't want to freeze in the moment of chaos, but you definitely want to be able to protect yourself. You definitely want to be able to know how to fight. I mean, there's a real reality that when you come of age, maybe you're a teenager and you're starting to date, whatever, that when you date, and I'm speaking, I guess, towards dating women, I'm only speaking to experiences I have, I identify with, right? Women want to feel like you can protect them, okay? And there is a facade of, like, you can lift weights, get big, and then get to a point to where you think no one's ever going to mess with you, right? That's just the reality. And then I've also seen people say, oh, well, everyone's got guns nowadays, so what good is fighting? You know what I mean? Like, you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. Because if you're an adult or a teenager and someone disrespects your woman in public or does something inappropriate to a family member or your sister or whatever, maybe your dad's not around to take care of it, it should be on you as the man in the family to not avenge that, but to be chivalrous and stand up. And if it calls for physical violence, which I think the bar is so much higher than it needs to be, the bar for being violent needs to come down, because they act like it's the worst thing in the world, where a lot of times a quick fight outside will solve a lot of problems immediately. And you won't have problems going back home, okay? If your girl gets harassed or whatever and you do nothing about it, that might be a conversation that's not going to go very well for you. And going back to the kids, when these kids think that there's no consequences to their actions and they don't need to fight and society has protected them and yada, 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 if there is a situation later on in life or even at school where they get physically bullied, I'm going to let you guys know right now, at least in California, okay, the teachers really aren't allowed to do much. Like, you can get fired if you're breaking up a fight and push a kid away from another kid. If he falls on his ass and tells his parents, like, the teacher pushed me to the ground, even if it's breaking up a fight, that teacher is going to have to go to a hearing and potentially be charged with something. Like it is fucking crazy the restrictions adults have in controlling and disciplining kids. They are not empowered like they used to be. My dad has stories about when he would get in trouble at school, he would go to the vice principal's office and they would literally take a wooden paddle with holes drilled in it so it could move faster through the air and get swatted hard on the ass with a wooden paddle. This shit is like a small boat oar that they just beat your ass with it. There's no discipline today. It is crazy. And the people that are put in points of authority can't actually do anything. You have to literally be a cop or some person with like security clearance to have any ability to discipline your kids. And I think that fighting gives kids an opportunity to end conflict faster. And I'm not saying fighting is the first result. I think you should always start with your words. I also think that never throw the first punch is a total BS garbage idea. It's a dumb idea. If I'm having a daughter, okay, and I'm hoping that she, takes to boxing or Muay Thai or wrestling or something to be able to have some level of self-confidence and physical capabilities to hopefully defend herself long enough for help to come, right? But if we have another kid, we want more than one, and if I have a son, I'm going to make sure that my son is capable of not only defending himself, but defending people that are innocent, helpless, in bad situations. And I'm going to tell him, if someone is coming at you and you think they're going to push you or hit you and you're not sure, throw the first punch and then throw another one after it. Throw that 1-2 right down the pipe. Bop, bop. Right away. Don't wait. Because I will happily deal with whatever consequences come with that. And you're not in the hospital because some kid beat you up because you didn't want to defend yourself. Okay? I will much rather avoid a hospital visit and have to see you suffering in pain physically than maybe you get emotional and maybe you get upset because you had to fight. That's fine. I'm okay with that. That shows you're human. Okay? But protection starts with pro. And so does proactive. If you're proactive and you get ahead of a problem before it starts, that's the best way, in my opinion, to deal with a problem. If you're always cleaning up after yourself, your house never gets really dirty, right? If you're always training for a fight and you get into a fight, now you don't have to learn how to fight through fighting. You've learned through training. If you get into a conflict, right, and you're able to disarm the bully or the person that's intending bodily harm to you, you become a better person. I think so many things contribute to I know I'm going to sound old, but how soft young men are today. So many things. The testosterone levels are down. Okay, that has to do with I know food and FDA and drug, pharmaceutical drugs that are being prescribed to kids. There's so much that microplastics. There's so much that can cause your T levels to go down. But if you look, if you Google online testosterone levels in the 70s versus testosterone levels today, we are like down 30%, 40%. It's crazy how the numbers are not just falling but plummeting, guys. And a lot of that is because testosterone is not only activated in your gonads like through natural just growth and everything else, but also engaging in your fight or flight instincts as a man, engaging in stressful, exciting, hard things to do. And there's nothing harder in the world, in my opinion, than fight sports. Okay? The hardest men on the planet are special ops Navy SEALs. Okay? And then after that, probably fighters. So all these kids they have bad role models. They're following guys on Instagram. They're taking steroids at 19 because they think they need to lift weights to be manly. Doing bodily harm at an early age when you don't need that. You have God's given from the tap best shit out there. What your body is producing, it's never going to be better than from like 16 to 25. Never going to be better. It's only going to plateau or get worse. And they're pumping their body full of steroids, pumping weight, pumping iron, trying to lift to be tough. Lifting doesn't make you tough. It makes you stronger. Being strong is important, okay? But there's a lot of ways to get strong. It's not just weightlifting. And playing video games and talking shit online doesn't make you cool or tough. Being able to engage when you need to, when the time calls for it, that's what makes you tough. And I've been out of the dating game for a while, but I haven't met one single female, and I have women in my family that are younger than me that I talk to all the time that think they want a man that they don't care if a man knows or doesn't know how to protect them. Every woman wants to know that their man, when push comes to shove, can protect them, can hold it down, or be a hell of an out for whoever's coming for him. Give him hell. You know? The idea we have of men in 2025 is so convoluted. You're supposed to be sensitive. You're supposed to be empathetic. You're supposed to be a therapist and, well put together and, never showing any capabilities of getting angry or propensity to violence. And obviously you should never be violent towards women. Obviously. That's like goes without saying. But what I am saying is they're saying it's a bad thing to be violent, period. What are we talking about here? Whose idea was that? They're trying to make this society weak so we don't rise up if we don't stand up for ourselves. If the government wants to pull a fast one on them, all right, well, we don't stand up for that. We don't stand up for ourselves. We won't fight them. They're too powerful, too strong, can't do it. If there's a bully in school, oh, I'm going to switch my son classes. Oh, I'm going to take him out of school. I'm going to tell the teachers and they're going to do nothing about it. I see stories like this all the time on Facebook. They don't do shit. Sometimes the answer is violence. And fight sports will give your kid an idea of when if they're in a good school that's going to teach situational, I don't want to say situational awareness, but situational understanding of when it is time to fight, when it is okay to be violent, and also give them a space to get comfortable with that and blow off steam and engage that testosterone that is coursing through their body that otherwise will lead to other things that are negative, right? Porn addiction, playing 8 hours of Call of Duty on days and talking shit to like 40-year-old dudes that are, that are online, like, like, what the hell is this 12-year-old cussing at me all like this for? Kids didn't talk like that back in the day. They talk crazy today. It's because they have all this built up angst and aggression that they're not getting out of their systems. And I even think that there's other sports you can get that from, like football, right? It's not necessarily a fighting sport, but there's enough physicality there, physical contact, where it gives you that outlet, okay? And it allows a space for violence. It's a specific type, right? But it is there. It's very present, right? So all these things are very important. And I'm also not saying your kid needs to go to gladiator school and spar and have brain damage. No, but they need to understand that it is okay. There is a time and place to be violent. And also, y'all role models are fucked up. Get off Instagram. If you got a kid that's, not even a teenager yet on Instagram, why? Why? So they can look up to idiots on there that aren't giving good advice, that are doing dumb things, because what's the first impression based off of always, right? Physical appearance. Okay? And who's going to be the guy that gets the most attention in the room? The loudest guy. So you have all these idiots screaming into the camera, look at me, saying wild shit, putting dumb ideas in these young boys' heads, so they don't know how to talk to women, they don't know how to treat women, they don't know how to protect anyone. They're just told, all these crazy things like go out and, lift weights and, do everything you can to make money and be an influencer online and whatever. No, you should be a fucking man first. Protect your family, protect your own. Make sure you have good morals. Make sure you have a good outlet for your energy. Your negative energy as well, your anger as well. It's okay to feel all those things, but let's tap into that in a positive way. Let's tap into that in a way that's healthy. Let's tap into that in a way that's going to pay dividends potentially in the future and make you a better husband and boyfriend and father to your family. A lot of these kids are lost, man. I see badass kids, bad kids, come into the gym all the time, and a year later, the grades get better. They're motivated because they know, listen, if their mom and dad takes this away from me, I don't know what's going to happen. And also the parents know if they take away the gym from them, they don't know what's going to happen to their kid. It doesn't make kids have better character. It forces them to be a person of character. It forces them. You have no choice. Because if you talk shit, if you do things the wrong ways, there's immediate physical consequences in there, and everybody in there is not going to step in and save you, okay? From bad sparring technique, from bad habits, from being lazy. No one's going to come in there and save you. It's only going to hurt you, and you feel it. It's immediate. In sparring, in fights, the negative reaction to bad habits, bad character, it's immediate, and it's unavoidable, and it hurts. So I really think that today it's vital in 2025 for these kids to for these young men, for these young boys that are starting to look at the internet and starting to look for role models, especially when maybe dad's working a lot. Who knows? Maybe dad's not around. You need positive male role models in your life. Members of the community that are helping people out. People that are physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually and emotionally fit, taking care of their families, and also knowing how to use their hands as weapons. It's vital. It is absolutely vital. And I really do think, like, as a young man, if you never got into a fight gym, right, and you happen to stumble upon this video, regardless, even if you're in your 20s now, maybe it's never too late. You can get into it now. I see it all the time. Guys get into it now and they're like, man, this shit changed my life. This shit saved me. This shit made me a better person. Okay? This shit makes me less grumpy around my wife and kids. This shit helps me mentally. I feel better after. I feel better after. Me personally, my testosterone levels have gone up since I've done this. I'm 35, guys. So it's just vital, and I think all young men need to engage in some form of a fight gym. Again, whether that's wrestling, Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever. I think it's very important, because you want to be a good provider, a good protector, and a respected member of the community. And you need to get that aggression out, because it's going to come out somewhere, and you don't want it to be on the ones you love the most, right? You want it to be with somebody else that signed up for this shit, and they're just trying to get better too, and they're trying to get their aggression out too. It's a win-win scenario. I think it's very important, guys. You got to get involved. You got to get in a fight gym. You got to, if you can't afford a fight gym, talk to the gym owner. You'd be surprised if you say, hey man, I'm willing to change out the toilet paper, clean out the bathrooms, clean the mats. I'm willing to stay late after class. I'm willing to, if I get good enough, teaching a younger kids class, whatever the case is. A lot of gyms will be willing to work with you in all financial brackets. And if there is like a profit-free gym, there's still some profit-free non-profit boxing gyms out there. Go get in there, man. Go get in there. Do it. It's gonna make you make you feel better. And there'll be days where maybe you get your ass kicked, or maybe you didn't do well and it's gonna be hard on you emotionally. But if you keep showing up, it will pay dividends. It will be rewarding, and it will be absolutely beneficial in all of your life's aspects. That's my feeling on it. I'm your boy Tyler. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your homies. This is the most trash show on YouTube, and we are out of this bitch.